Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Erica, and today we're going to talk about and kind of explore the read and listen for free feature on Kindle Unlimited. Okay, so I got an idea to do a video that was all about the feature that's offered on Kindle Unlimited, that is read with narration. So if you don't know, on Kindle Unlimited, you get access to as many books as you can read that are on Kindle Unlimited, but also some books have a free audiobook that you can listen to on Audible, like attached to them, that's also free. So I use this feature a lot, so I figured it would be a good idea to sit down and talk about some of the books that are offered on there, some of the ones that I've read, and I actually read some books specifically for this video, so I would have even more books to talk to you about. So with that being said, let's jump into the books. I'm not going to go into the full synopsis for a lot of these just because there's a lot of books on this list and it would be really long, but I will go into detail on the ones that I read for this video, and then just like give you a brief 2-sentence synopsis for the other books that I've read. Sorry, I had to let Elsa in. She was banging the door. She'll do it over and over again until you let her into the room. So now Elsa's here and she might make an appearance, and she's purring really loud. So sorry if you can hear her. But the first book that I read for this video was Beauty and the Baller by Issa Madden Mills. And I had read Dear Ava by Issa Madden Mills, and I really loved that book, so I was excited to give some more of her books a try because there's a couple of them that are offered on Kindle Unlimited with the read with narration. So Beauty and the Baller is about a football player who recently lost his fiance. Well, not that recently, but he lost his fiance in a car accident, and he's like grieving her, and he's a football player, and then he is at a party and his friends kind of talk him into going to talk to a girl that's at the party. So he does, and he talks to her, and then they have a one-night stand, and he ends up calling her his fiance's name. It's really awkward, and then they split apart for like years and then end up being their romance way later on. So this book I thought was actually pretty good. I give it 4 stars. It wasn't anything like that I would really think about much past when I read it, but it was really good. I feel like grief was handled really well in this book. It definitely has like small town kind of charm to it. There's also a little bit of a fake dating aspect in the book, which I really liked, but I wish it was explored a little bit more. And also, I said this before, but I really hate when we start off the book with a one-night stand between the two characters, because I just feel like it loses a lot of that tension that I really like, and like it gets, the angst just kind of goes down in that situation because they've already done it. You've already seen it. Like, I don't know. I just like when the tension happens, and I'd much rather have my characters not hook up at all until like the last chapter of a book than hook up in the first couple of chapters. So I gave that one 4 stars. The next book I read was Not My Romeo, also by Issa Madden Mills. And this book, I said in my wrap up, but it's still true, not memorable like at all. So this book is about a football player who has kind of earned himself a bad reputation, and our main girl character meets up with him for a blind date, and she doesn't know who he is, and he doesn't really believe that, but turns out to be true. Same situation, basically. They have a one-night stand, and then they separate for a while, and they end up coming back together, and it ends up being their romance. There was a pretty cool play aspect in this book, because she ends up working at a school, and he's kind of has connections to that school. So they end up working in a play together of Romeo and Juliet, which is where the title comes in. And I really liked that part of the book. The rest of the book really just felt like copy and paste of Beauty and the Baller, and Beauty and the Baller is better in my opinion. So although it was entertaining for the couple of hours that I was listening to it, I honestly can't remember much more about it, and I don't know if I would recommend it. I think I would recommend it if you're into like small town sports romances that are pretty like I don't want to say low stakes because there's some heavier topics that are dealt with in the book, but it just felt like a light book even with the darker topics. So yeah, it was a 3-star for me. Not a terrible book, but not amazing either. The next book I read was definitely the winner of all the books that I read for this video, and that was The Mixtape by Brittany Cherry. So I gave this book a 4.5. This book is about 2 brothers that have a band together, and they're like a duo, singing duo, and they're really famous, and one of them ends up passing away from a car accident, and the surviving brother really blames himself for this, and he's really struggling. So he goes to do, it's a while later, but he goes to do his first ever show without his brother, and he just doesn't show up because he's really struggling. So he's at this bar that's close to the venue that he was supposed to do the show at. He's like belligerent drunk, and these angry fans are there without knowing it's him because he's like pretty much disguised, and they're saying a bunch of mean things about him and whatever, and then he ends up getting a fight with one of them. And so the bartender in that bar actually is our main female character, and she is a single mom, and she's really just kind of struggling to make it and provide for her and her daughter, and she's big fans of the band. I think it was called Elliot and Alex. His name's Elliot, and his dead brother is Alex. So anyways, she sneaks Elliot out of the back of the restaurant because, like I said, he's getting a fight, and lets him sleep it off at her house. And then she ends up getting fired because of this, because she just like left. And so Elliot wants to like do everything he can to make it right because she's already like really financially struggling, and now she just lost her job. So it ends up being their romance from there, and this is the sweetest romance ever. It's very emotional. There's a lot of grief in it, obviously. There's some secrets that come out about her past, and it's very emotional but very good, and also very like low angst. There's not really any drama between the 2 characters. The reason why they're torn apart in the 3rd act breakup is not because of them. So I think if you really don't like angsty books, this would be a perfect read for you. And the reason why I gave it 4.5 stars instead of 5 is because I really do love angst in my books, and having absolutely no angst kind of made it a little bit less enjoyable for me, but still a really great book nonetheless. So I definitely recommend this one. Give it a go. The next book I read for this video was Dear Enemy by Kristen Callahan. So this is about 2 sisters that grow up with this neighbor who is the male love interest, and then so he ends up dating our main female character's sister, like when they're kids and growing up. Our main female character and our hero, they have like this enemy hate each other situation, which is why it's called Dear Enemy. He like teases her really bad, bullies her a little bit, and that sort of thing. And then flash forward to when they are adults. He's famous. I think he's a famous actor, and her sister has gone to work for him but ends up stealing from him. So he calls her up and basically like threatens her to bring her sister to him, or I don't remember what the threat was, to be honest. But he asks her to bring his sister to him, gives her a certain amount of time to do it, and she can't find her sister. Her sister's missing, so she goes to try to like see what they can work out, and it ends up being that she stays and works for him to like work off what her sister stole, and then it turns out being their romance from there. This, I think I already said it, but was really not memorable to me at all, and I didn't really feel like the enemy aspect was believable, or that it was even really part of the book, because once they were adults, they were like almost instantly not enemies anymore. That part of the book was really weak, and I would have liked to see it play out a little bit more. So overall, not a bad book, but definitely not my favorite on this list. The last book on this list that I read for the video is A Familiar Stranger by A.R. Torre. So I love A.R. Torre's writing so much. I've read one of her romances, and then I read The Girl in 6E and 2 of her other books that we'll get to later in this video. But, so I was really excited for this one. It just came out, and it's called A Familiar Stranger. So this is like a thriller, not a romance, but I ended up giving it only 3 stars. It wasn't bad by any means, but it just wasn't like her other two thrillers that she released prior. Those ones were so good. This one was just very basic. There was nothing that really stood out to me about it. One of the plot twists was pretty obvious to me right in the beginning. Another one of the plot twists, though, I didn't see coming, so that was good. But overall, it really didn't do much for me. I felt like it was a really, cookie cutter thriller. And that's fine. Sometimes those are, good to have, good to just, you don't have to put too much thought into them. But compared to some of her other books that she's put out, it really just missed the mark for me. And yeah, so I give this one 3 stars. I still would recommend this one, but it's really short, first of all. So if you want a nice, quick, thriller read, especially it's October. But yeah, it just wasn't as good as some of her other ones, which we will get to. Now we're going to talk about some books that I read prior to this video. So some of Colleen Hoover's books are on the Kindle Unlimited Read with Narration. And so you have Reminders of Him, Regretting You, and Layla. So Reminders of Him was a 5-star read for me. I loved this book, more so for the main character's growth in her journey, less for the romance, but the romance was still good too. And this is about a woman that just got out of prison for doing something that she really regrets, and she had her daughter in prison, and she gets out and she really just wants to have a relationship with her daughter, and then she meets someone who is kind of connected to her daughter's life, and it ends up being a romance between the two of them. And yeah, I really, really like this book. It made me cry. I almost never cry in books, so loved Reminders of Him. Next, we have Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, and I give this one a 4-star. This one was really, really good too. It follows both a mother and a daughter's story. Like, at the same time, we get both point of views, and I really liked how the story unfolded and the way that the two stories kind of played off each other. And yeah, I thought this one was a really strong one from Colleen Hoover. It is more on the young adult side though, but yeah, still really good. Next, we have Layla, and I give this one 4 stars, and this is a perfect book to read in October because it's a paranormal ghost romance, kind of. And yeah, I thought this one was really good. I read it just I had to go drive a few hours away, and I just read it the whole time. So I read it pretty much in one sitting, and I really, really enjoyed it. It definitely was a different kind of book for Colleen Hoover, but I think she executed it really well, and I really enjoyed it. Next, we have A Lie for a Lie by Helena Hunt. A Lie for a Lie is a hockey romance, and I thought it was really, really good. There is a trope in this book, though, that a lot of people don't like, but I can't really tell you because it's a spoiler. So I don't know, maybe look up some reviews before you read this if you want to know what that is. But I really enjoyed it. It doesn't bother me at all, that trope. So yeah, this is a hockey romance. 2 people go to Alaska, they meet, they have kind of a short romance, and then she has to leave suddenly, and then they meet I think 2 years or maybe a year later. And I thought it was really good. And that other 2 books in this series are also on the Kindle narration. There's 4 books in the series, but only the 2nd and the 3rd are the Kindle narration. So yes, the series, I don't know what the series is called, but it's by Helena Hunt. The first one's A Lie for the Lie, and I really would recommend the first one if you don't mind that trope. Next book I have on here is a 5-star for me, and that was Melt for You by J.T. Gessinger. So this book took me by surprise because previously I DNF'd one of her books in her Mafia series. But this book is about a Scottish or Irish, I can't remember now, rugby player that comes to America, and he's staying here short term. He has a bad boy reputation, and he's staying across the hall from our main female character. And she goes over there because he's being really loud and obnoxious and asks him to quiet down, and they automatically have this really funny banter going on and kind of this hate thing that they have, and then it turns into a hate to love, obviously. But she is really crushing on her boss, and he makes a deal with her that if she feeds him dinner every night, because she's a really good cook, that he will help her with seduce her boss, basically. So it's fun, it's lighthearted, but I really, really loved it. The smut scenes in this book were so good. The banter between the 2 characters were so good. The 3rd act breakup was probably one of my favorites ever. I felt like it was just the way, I don't know. I just really like the third act breakup, and I don't want to say too much about it because it will spoil it, but it was really, really good. Unfortunately, the next book that I have is Ache for You, and this is the third book in that series. I didn't read the first one, but I hated this book so much. I gave it 2 stars. It was about a fashion designer, like aspiring fashion designer. She has a small dress boutique and she designs her own dresses. She has her sketchbook. She finds out that her father is dying. He lives in Italy, so she goes to fly to Italy to see him, and she, for some reason, there's something wrong with her plane tickets, and so she meets this guy in the airport, and he basically offers to give her his ticket in exchange for her sketchbook. So she really doesn't want to do this because it's all of her designs that she's making for her dress shop, but if she doesn't go and leave like right now to see her dad, then she's probably going to be too late. So she gives him her sketchbook as much as she doesn't want to and flies to Italy. And then when she gets to Italy, she meets this guy that has her sketchbook. And it ends up being their romance together. And I just really did not like the main male character. I felt like he was really icky. There was, first of all, the sketchbook thing, like that pissed me off. I just felt like her father is dying and you're going to do that to her. Like that was really shitty in my opinion. And then he like does things like make her kiss him a certain amount of times to get her sketchbook back, and just no, I did not like that at all. And the third book for this series is on Kindle Unlimited with narration, but I won't be reading it. I don't think she's an author for me, even though I have that one 5-star book from her. I think that was it for me. Okay, so back to A.R. Torr. So her other 2 thrillers that I have read that are on the Kindle Unlimited with narration. The first one is Every Last Secret, and this one is hard to explain. It's kind of like these people that live in a neighborhood, they are pretty wealthy, and you know, everyone's like knows everything about each other, and there's some mysteries that unfolded there. I went in really blind, and I suggest you do the same thing. I ended up thinking it was really, really good. Give it 4 stars. Not my favorite by her, but still a really strong thriller, and it was more like a slow mystery, not so much a thriller, but I thought it was really strong, and I really loved the unlikable characters. And the next book by her is a 5-star for me, and that's The Good Lie. I love this book. It's about a man whose son was killed by a serial killer that's on the loose, and there's this new victim that came out. He escaped from the serial killer, and he is blaming or telling everyone it's a teacher from his high school. And so the other guy whose son was killed by this man is an attorney, and he's actually representing this high school teacher in the case because he strongly believes that it was not this teacher that's the serial killer. So it's very interesting how that happens. Everyone's questioning why this man would represent his son's potential killer. But yeah, I really, really love this one. I did not see anything coming that happened in it, and it was so good. All right, so that's all the books I have read using this service that I can remember, but I wanted to tell you a few more that I saw while I was going through that I haven't read yet, but you might want to. I don't know the synopsis of any of these, but I'll just tell you about them. So the first one I saw was Make It Sweet by Kristen Callahan. This is the same author that wrote Dear Enemy. I don't necessarily think I'll try it out because I didn't love the other book, but if you like that book, just know that Make It Sweet is on there too. I think this is a newer release. I might be wrong about that, but yes, that is available on Kindle Unlimited with narration. Next, we have a couple of Megan Quinn books. Highland Fling by Megan Quinn, and I don't know anything about this. I haven't read a Megan Quinn book before, but she also has her Getting Lucky series on Kindle Unlimited with narration too. So if you wanted to check out that series, that's available on there. We also have The Mile High Club by T.L. Swan. This is a series that I want to check out. The books are so long, so I'll get to it someday. But I know people really love this series, so that's on there too, if you didn't know. The next book is one that I added on my TBR shelf while I was looking at The Good Lie. I wanted to see, I was making sure that it was still available on Kindle Unlimited, and I found The Secret of Us by Lucinda Berry. This is another thriller. I am excited to check it out. It sounds really interesting. This is an author I haven't read before, but it's supposed to be about two sisters that are really close, and one sister ends up going to a psychiatric hospital because she tries to kill her husband. The other sister is trying to figure out what happened and uncovering a bunch of lies, and that sounds like a really, really good premise for something that I would love. So that's all of the books that I wanted to talk about. I think that the Kindle Unlimited with narration is a really, really good feature for Kindle Unlimited that I feel like isn't talked about a lot. So I think you should definitely give it a try. If you like audiobooks, it's really good. I mean, Kindle Unlimited is $9.99 and you get to check out 20 books, and then some of them also have audiobooks. I feel like you really can't beat that. Also, Audible has kind of their own subscription service, which is Audible Plus. They used to do something else and then they switched it to Audible Plus, and I canceled it when that happened because Audible Plus, in my opinion, is awful. It's almost impossible to find a good book on there, and I really, really don't like, their selection is just really bad in my opinion. So I think honestly it's worth it, more worth your money to just get Kindle Unlimited and read the Kindle Unlimited books with narration. There's like 2,000 books available on there, and I feel like the books are just better quality, better known authors, and not that you shouldn't give lesser known authors a try, you absolutely should, but I just feel like the books on here, like I said, I've read a lot of them and a lot of them are really, really good, and I don't have that experience with Audible Plus. So I really recommend, first of all, Kindle Unlimited, and second of all, using this feature that Kindle Unlimited offers. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, bye.